Get me that signal. We need more power.
I'm with Justin DeWitt, and we're here looking at the new Dead Panic from Fireside Games.
Yes.
Here's a game in progress.
These guys just got started, and they are doing okay so far. It may not look like it, but they're doing all right. They have all their walls, everything's intact. So one of the things in the game that's new that everybody's been curious about is you actually have characters in this game. So let me, this may be hard to focus on, but you will actually have a figure that you will take the role of, and you will get a matching player card with it. So Sandra, our police officer, has a special ability, and then there's a certain amount of injuries she can take, and then everyone has the same gameplay summary on their card. It's the order of play and what your possible actions are. Because in this game, you have two actions you can perform. Some of the most common things you're going to do are scavenge the cabin for stuff, which means drawing cards. You can also move clockwise or counterclockwise inside the cabin, but you can even step outside the cabin and go fight monsters or zombies rather in the woods if you want. Also, they're coming to get you, so that's not going to be much of a problem. You have health, and you will actually fight zombies at possible personal risk. Oh, you have a question?
We have a sprinter hitting the wall.
Hitting the wall, that's one crack.
How many cracks does the wall take?
One. It's destroyed on the next crack.
Okay.
So is everybody hitting walls, or is he's the only one that reached it, right?
He's the only one that's reached it.
Yeah. Yep. So that's another thing that's different. The walls in this game can live in a sort of damaged state. They take one crack, the second crack destroys them. And unlike Castle Panic, every time a wall is hit by a monster or zombie in this case, it takes a crack. So two zombies equals two cracks, which is a dead wall. Also, because they're already dead, they do not take damage from hitting a wall. They don't dial down. They stay alive. You, however, can, for one action, as long as you're in the same arc that a crack is in, you can repair it for one action. So you can go around fixing your walls if you want, and the construction worker who he's playing at, his special ability is he fixes walls for free. So they should probably try and get him over there, but there's scarier things over there in arc number 1.
Yeah, it looks like they got an onslaught coming in over there.
Exactly. One thing that's really different in this game is the zombies come out way faster. The way it works is after every player has taken 2 actions, then the zombie phase happens. So instead of zombies happening at the end of every player's turn, it's at the end of the round. That involves drawing an event card, which looks like this. And when you flip it over, it has 2 pieces of information you need. It has the number of zombies you draw, which in this case, that pound symbol means equal to the number of players in the game. They will draw 3 when this card comes out. Then you do whatever it says here. So the drawing from the bag and placing is just like Castle Panic. You'll roll the dice and put them in the woods out in the farthest space of whatever ring you roll. Then this is going to happen, which in this case is additional movement. So you get essentially monsters and an effect every time you draw one of these.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some that are almost helpful. Yeah, exactly. So zombies move in after that phase, and then if there are zombies in your space, you have to fight them with melee combat, which involves rolling dice. And let me, they don't have anyone I can play with. If you can focus in, there's a number on the top of every zombie, basically 6, 7, 8, or 9, depending on the type of zombie you're fighting. That's the combat number you have to beat. When you roll your 2d6s, you have to roll higher than that to hit the monster and kill it, or at least do damage to it. If you roll equal to it, it's a tie, nothing happens. If you lose, you run the risk of taking damage. Damage is dealt with in one of 2 ways. You can either drop the weapon you were fighting with, or you can take an injury. Oh, he's got a question. It's 4 points of damage that you spread however you want. So, yeah, you could do 3 points if you split it up like that, and you kind of lose the extra bullet, but hey, that's 2 less monsters. Nice, very good. And now that becomes a club. So that's the other thing in the game. When you expend all the bullets from a gun, it becomes a club. So, for instance, let me see if I can find one real quick. Here we go. So, this is a rifle. It has 1 point of damage it'll do. It has a range of 3, which means it reaches all the way out to the woods. So think of this as essentially an archer that can hit every ring. They actually do overlap in our game. It also has a certain number of bullets. Every time you use it, you run out of bullets. When you use the last bullet, it turns into a club, which becomes a melee weapon. The melee weapon breaks on its first use, though. So win or lose, this card is going into the discard pile once it's a club. So guns are awesome until they're out of bullets. Then they're still kind of awesome. Melee weapon.
It's not like the pistol, though, where you just throw it at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of bullets.
Nope, that's it. So melee weapons don't break. They last essentially forever, but you still run the risk of, if you fail a melee combat, you're either discarding the card you fought with or taking an injury. So you may end up having to drop a perfectly good melee weapon to keep the zombies from eating you. As players take damage, they have no immediate effects on their performance, but if they take 3 damages, they die, and our friendly police officer will become our much less friendly police officer zombie.
Oh, really?
Yes. She will actually be in the game as a zombie player. There's a triangle token that has this image on it, and she becomes a monster in the game. When the zombies move in the normal phase, she's allowed to control her character moving up to 2 spaces, and when she died, she would have picked 2 special abilities that she would get. You have to kind of customize your zombie. Maybe they get to move an additional space, or they might win on ties, because now they go after their friends. You go after your friends trying to chew on their brains, fighting them as zombies.
Yeah, it's great. So there's no real player elimination?
No, not really. Unless you are a zombie and then you get killed, then you're out. But I'll tell you the truth, if you're turning into zombies, the game's almost over. We're seeing gameplay really not be actually that much longer, even in like a Wizard Tower-ish kind of thing. So we're seeing them talking a little over an hour, maybe an hour and a half. A lot of it depends on how long the players take to make their turns, but everything is 2 action, so it's really fast.
Another quick question. Yes. So, how's melee work?
Okay, when you have a zombie in the same space as you, right now you guys won't have to deal with that, but when you do, you're going to roll. Say you were fighting this a brawler, see that number on top? That's the number you have to roll higher than when you roll. If you roll higher, you win and you do damage to him based on whatever you're using. Your guy would do 2 points of damage. Normally, most weapons do 1 point.
Plus 1.
Well, that plus 1 is to the roll, just to make sure that you actually win.
So I got plus 2 to the rolls.
Right. And then if you tie, nothing happens. It's as if you just shoved the zombie a little bit. If you lose, you either take an injury or drop the weapon you were fighting with.
And when he hits the wall next turn, is he just going to bounce off it for 1 turn?
Right. He'll destroy the wall and stop, so they'll both be parked outside the wall.
So you can smash it in the ground.
If you can get over there and jump in on the, and he'll come in after you, so don't feel too aggressive about having to go out and get him. They're coming anyway.
So I can go here, and then I can shotgun that guy. And then when this guy shows up next turn after.
Some of the things that are interesting too is the zombies, most of the zombies have something special they do. We have our 1 point or 1 point health shamblers. They're just your classic slow moving, moaning zombies. The one she's pointing at there is a sprinter. He's a freshly dead zombie. He has 2 points of health and he moves 2 spaces instead of 1. We have brawlers, which have 2 points of health, and when you fight them in hand-to-hand combat, they win on ties, so they're extra tough to fight hand-to-hand. You really want to shoot those guys. Brawlers are 3-point monsters, and they shatter your walls in 1 hit instead of the usual 2. Lastly, we have creepers. Creepers are essentially a torso. They're just half of a human being, and they only move on the movement phase when you roll a dice and get a result of 4 or higher. But because they're only half a person, they go through walls as if they aren't there. So you may intend to ignore them until they're inside the cabinet. So we try to incorporate a lot of our classic favorite zombie gimmicks in this. There is a cabin card you can draw that is not necessarily good for you. I'll leave that as a surprise for everybody, but that's a fun one when that comes.
Can you drop stuff?
That seems so.
It looks great.
You are allowed to discard for free if you want. You can drop anything on your turn. Dump it.
And whoever jumps there with it has to be on right side.
They can't make it. What happens whenever survivor?
What'd you get?
So, he just pulled that card I was teasing you about. You know that scene in the monster movies where you wonder what happened to the people ahead of you and you open that one door? There they are.
So you have to drop something.
Right. So, he keeps Gra.
Yeah, I'll drop it.
There you go. Alright, so if he's right, Julie has a special ability where that character gets to draw 2 cards, keep 1, give 1 to another player. So he drew the Gra and decided to keep it.
You're going to draw. If Julie draws this card up, she may give this card to another player who follows the instructions about it.
It says 3, 2, 1.
So it goes into your square. So this will go into your square.
Right. So because of Gra, he has to put a zombie in his space, and it's a sprinter. So it just appears right there in the cabin. And then you get to draw another card to replace it. Gra just brings the zombie. You still get something good out of your search.
That's kind of weird.
Yep, so he's got an energy drink. All right. So the other thing in this game is actually how you win. That was all about how zombies are horrible and awful they are, but winning is important too. What's going to happen is friendly tokens called survivors are going to come out. They're orange and bright colored and human looking on one side, and they will try and come towards the cabin as fast as they can, moving when the zombies move. The problem is zombies are smart in this game and will move towards whatever they can see, which is their half of the board. And so they will essentially glom onto these survivors and tear them apart. Survivors drop pieces of a radio. It's a little hard to see maybe, but over by the monster bag there, we've got 2 pieces of the radio and there's 1 on the board over there. if you can get the 3 pieces of the radio from the survivors and put it together, you can call for rescue. Rescue will bring the rescuers out into the game. They'll show up somewhere in the woods ring, and that's how you get out of the game. You make it to their space, and you actually, well, into the van actually, and you're out of the game. You're safe. If you're the first person in, there's actually some things you can do to help your friends. You're not totally out of the game, but you're essentially safe. You can't be eaten by zombies anymore.
For shooting, you can shoot at, but can you club on your can you melee on your turn?
Not unless they're in the same space. As
So
long
you
as
can melee him.
yes, you
No,
can.
but is that during the fight? Or
On the
You can choose to fight him
action.
as one of your actions, but if they're still there, you're going to have to fight him on the fight zombies.
So he's not there to maul you next turn.
And this sword here is going to put a nice crack in it. So I will smack him with my candles. You roll.
So it's rolling and you need to get a 7.
Or higher.
Yeah, so he's doing a melee combat against that sprinter. The sprinter has a combat value of 7. He rolled a 9. Perfect. So he hits him. The candlestick he has only does 1 point of damage, but the ability it has, if he rolled badly, candlestick lets him re-roll one of his dice. So every melee weapon has something it does like that. It gets you a re-roll or maybe a certain kind of bonus.
So on your
or
turn,
something
you
special.
can attack him again.
And kill him.
So now we move into
So is the panic available now?
event call.
It is not. We flew these over especially for Gen Con. It is on the way, though. It'll be available in September, probably late September, and we're really excited about it. We flew everything we had, and it sold out ridiculously fast. So. No surprise. The tables have been busy all weekend, so...
Well, it looks great. I'm looking forward to giving it a try.
Definitely.
All right, Justin, thanks.
bet. Thank you.
Goes 2 5.
Get me that 6. We need more power.